And then it gets even worse. So all the groomsmen had on these like Obama tan suits. And then the bridesmaids had on these like off black dresses. Like I think they were supposed to be black, but it was more of like an off black color. And just in general, the whole color scheme of this wedding, I thought looked terrible. Hi everyone, my name's Dimitri and welcome back to DimitriTube. Love is Blind, the finale. Let's talk about it. As always, if you're enjoying my videos, please go ahead and pound that like button, pound that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell. I'm a growing YouTuber and the likes and subscribes really help me out. So just two quick things before we get started. I'm sorry for the delay on this video. It was so hard for me to watch the reunion. I think it took me like 4 days to get through it. I just kept starting and stopping because it was so bad. And we're gonna talk about it more later in the video, but Vanessa Lachey was just such a terrible host. And the Paul and Micah interview was just so hard for me to get through. I cannot tell you the amount of times I rolled my eyes. But there is one thing I do wanna talk about real quick. I was shocked they didn't show it live at all. So the reunion was supposed to air live on Sunday, but they didn't end up airing it until like Monday afternoon at 3. So I was flying home from Texas, so I would not have watched it live regardless, but I was still surprised Netflix didn't show it at all. And when Netflix had the delay, Twitter was on fire. And I couldn't look at it because I have Love is Blind Reunion, Love is Blind Season 4. I have all those hashtags muted because if you don't mute it, you're gonna see a ton of spoilers. And I really try my best to avoid the spoilers until after the season ends. And on Twitter, you can mute certain tags for like a specific time period. It's actually kind of helpful. Now, don't get me wrong, Netflix has a lot of money, but just in general, to do something live, it takes a lot of planning and a lot of manpower. I know you've seen things live on Fox, ABC, NBC, stuff like that, and they still have slip ups. So I'm not surprised Netflix had a slip up, but I was very surprised that they didn't show it at all. And not only that, this is the second ever thing that Netflix has done live. The first thing they had live was the most recent Chris Rock stand-up special. And now this was supposed to be the second thing, but it flopped, so it didn't make it. And this is the last thing I'm gonna say. I'm not sure what exactly went wrong, but it does take a lot to do something like this live. For the Chris Rock stand-up, literally all you need is Chris Rock, and he's a master comedian. So he's been doing this for years, so he knows what to do. But literally you just need Chris Rock, you need an audience, maybe a bottle of water, a producer, some lights, a camera, a few cameras. Like you don't need that much, but for this you need way more. You need the studio, you need multiple cameras, you have whatever number of contestants, you have Nick and Vanessa Lachey, and both the hosts need to be ready to answer questions. They have to have backup video. Like there was a lot that goes into this, and you don't need as much compared to like a stand-up comedy special. So I'm not surprised that there was a slip up, but I am surprised that they didn't air it at all. Okay, that's all I got for now. So as always, pound that like button and let's get started. Okay, so the first wedding I want to talk about is with Kwame and Chelsea, but before we can dive into that, we got to talk about this wedding venue, the North Fork Farm. This venue was absolutely gorgeous. This was easily the best venue they've had weddings at on this show to date. And not only that, it was gorgeous. I kind of want to have my wedding there. Well, no, that's a lie. If I do get married, I kind of just want to get eloped in Vegas. There were just a lot of features to this venue that were just very picturesque. Like they had a train in the background. It was like a really pretty farm, like very green. They had this huge, insane mountain in the background. Maybe because I'm on the East Coast, I really don't see mountains like this. Like we don't have mountains with snow on top just chilling in the back. Like we don't have that here. And I just mean like just when they're standing, they have a huge, gorgeous mountain in the background, or like sometimes you'll see this on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. You'll see their house, but in the background it's this beautiful mountain in the back. The only thing I've seen that's come kind of close is like in West Virginia, you'll have mountains, but even then it won't be in the background like this. And just a heads up, I've never been to the West Coast. The furthest I've been west is either Texas or Chicago. I don't know which one's further west, but I am going to San Francisco in July. So I'm finally making it out all the way to the west. Wish me luck, y'all. And last thing I want to say about the venue, the starting prices for the wedding packages actually weren't that bad in my opinion. So if you're getting married near there, definitely add it to your options list. And at first I thought there was some sort of catch. Like I Googled how far the venue was from Seattle. I thought it was gonna be like 3 or 4 hours, but it's actually only like 45 minutes. So maybe there is no catch. The only problem is not everyone can just randomly have a wedding in Washington State. So I know it's not gonna work for everyone. Also, now that this venue was on Netflix, the prices may go up. To me, their prices seem pretty reasonable, but now that they were on Netflix, they may up it this year. If you want to get married, book the venue now. Next, if you made it this far in the video, please go ahead and pound that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Anyways, going back to Kwame and Chelsea, I absolutely loved Chelsea's dress. I thought her dress was so pretty. The only read that I do have is that the dress looked a little big, especially near the bust. It almost looked a little baggy. Also, I did not like her bouquet. Her bouquet was just too big and too cartoonish looking. Like, I don't know if those flowers were fake or if they were real and native to Seattle, but I really didn't like her bouquet either. But I thought her dress was fire. I think it was actually my favorite wedding dress this season. And then when it comes to Kwame, I didn't like his look. His bow tie and handkerchief looked like he was about to be in a music video for Janelle Monáe. But then when it comes to the wedding itself, I absolutely love this. The backdrop, the florals, the candles. I was feeling the fantasy. Like, this venue is really gorgeous. And sidebar, Kwame's brother is hot. Was I the only one feeling Kwame's brother? Let me know below in the comments. So Kwame and Chelsea end up getting married, and this was not a huge shock based on the buildup and what happened last episode. Yes, Kwame's mom was not supportive, but also at the same time, Kwame and Chelsea had just been through so much and had connected so hard after the pods. And I think Chelsea said yes, then Netflix went on break for the next episode. So I was pretty sure Kwame was going to say yes. I didn't think he was going to say no to her. And finally, I actually think all of the couples who did in fact get married, I think they'll go all the way. But specifically for Kwame and Chelsea, I think if they can stay together for the next 4 years with no hiccups, I do think they'll go all the way. And by no hiccups, I mean no threatening divorce, no filing of divorce, no breakup rumors, like none of that. If they can make it 4 years with none of that, I think they can go all the way. Okay, now let's move on to Paul and Micah. And the first thing I want to say is this Jack Harlow haircut has such a grip on the culture. And don't get me wrong, this hairstyle looks really good on Paul, but like, it is just crazy how many guys have this hairstyle now. Next, when I was watching Paul and Micah's wedding, I didn't think they were gonna get married. One, because I saw a slight YouTube spoiler. Like, that is the one thing about Netflix and just airing all the episodes at once. It is so hard to avoid spoilers. I was able to avoid them on Twitter, but then I kind of saw one on YouTube. Annoying. 2, when Paul and Micah were in their respective suites getting ready for the wedding and they were hanging out with their friends and family, all of the conversations were just so generic and it just felt like everyone was just putting on for the cameras. And not only that, Paul kind of gets cold feet and he tells his mom that he wants to be with Micah, but he's not quite sure if he wants to marry Micah. Also, sidebar, I thought these weddings were like really boring. Like, no one was really like partying and having fun in the suites. Like, if you saw season 2, Jarrett and his friends were partying in the suite and it was lit. But this season, every time people are in the suites getting ready, they're just being hyper emotional. Like, I don't understand what's up this season. And overall, it was just like kind of boring to watch. I mean, I always find the weddings a little boring, but this season they were more boring than normal. Next, I loved Micah's wedding dress. It was so cute and so simple, and it was almost too simple, but then we got some detailing in the back, so then it wasn't too simple. And I really thought this gown fit her personality well. I thought it was a good choice. It was not my favorite. I definitely would give that to Chelsea, but I still really liked her dress. Also, Micah's earrings were really cute too. So Micah and Paul make it to the altar and the ordained minister asks Micah if she does first. And Micah responds,
I think the best thing for us would be to give you the opportunity to answer first.
And that was just so awkward. And then Paul responds,
I love you, but I don't think we can choose each other right now. We're not there.
And then after that, Micah says she knew he would say no. And in my head, I was just like, if you knew he was going to turn you down, why didn't you just say no first? Like, why did you give him the opportunity to answer first? Micah's women's intuition was telling her that Paul was going to say no. So she made him answer first, but she really should have listened to that woman's intuition. If she knew he was going to say no, she should have turned him down first. But since she gave him the opportunity to answer first, maybe she knew he was going to answer no, but she just didn't want to believe it. What do y'all think? Let me know below in the comments. And then after that, Micah pulls out all the theatrics. She storms away angrily. She starts crying. She gets super emotional. Like, she is giving us a show. And I didn't feel bad for her. And it's not that I don't like Micah. For me, she's a very middle of the road character. Like, for Paul and Micah in general, I did not care whether or not they got married. And then for Micah personally, it's kind of hard to root for her because she was basically a villain at the beginning. But then I do think she got better as the season progressed. I liked her storyline as a person, but she's definitely like not one of my favorite characters. She's easily like middle of the road. So when she gave us this dramatic episode, yes, I enjoyed watching, but did I feel bad for her? Not really. And then Paul tries to talk to her and Micah just does not want to talk to him. She wants to be left alone. She wants to just do her thing and move on. And Paul has a confessional and he says, the love wasn't always reciprocated and sometimes it created a negative feedback loop. I struggled to envision Micah as a mother. The nurturing aspect was missing. And what Paul said right there is very important to the reunion. We are going to bring that back up later. Okay, now we're moving on to Tiffany and Brett. And y'all, I love Tiffany's maiden name, Pennywell. Like, Tiffany's mom entered the suite and one of her friends was like, Mrs. Pennywell, what do you think of the wedding? Or something like that. And I'm like, oh my God, I love this last name. It's like a classic 1950s name you would hear on like a sitcom or something. And now she's Tiffany Brown, but I hate to say it, Tiffany Pennywell sounded better. Maybe she'll do like Lauren from season 1 and be like Lauren Speed Hamilton. She'll be Tiffany Pennywell Brown, because even that sounds better too. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big proponent of a woman taking her husband's last name. The only time where I'm okay with her not doing it is if she's built a brand based on her name and then she doesn't want to take her husband's last name. I get it. For example, like Kim Kardashian. When she married Kanye, she was Kim Kardashian West, because at that point she had built so many brands with the name Kim Kardashian. Like, it really didn't make sense for her to change her whole name. Next, Tiffany was emotional as hell in this suite. Like, literally this season, nobody is partying and having fun in the suites. Like, everyone's just being hyper emotional and I don't get it. And yes, I totally get it. Usually between men and women, the way they act in the suites before the wedding is completely different. The women tend to be more emotional and the men usually are like having fun, they're chill or they're partying. But like, all of the men this season are hyper emotional too. Like, literally no one's having fun before their weddings. Anyways, after that, Brett tries on his suit and his pants are not fitting right. Brett rushes to the tailor. Netflix pulls out all this dramatic music. Brett is like being over the top about his pants, and then in the corner of the screen it says like 2 or 3 hours until the wedding. Like, they pull out all the dramatics. And it's clear Brett and Tiffany really don't have a storyline during this wedding, so they're making his pants not fitting into a storyline. Okay, so just 2 things I want to say about this. First, did Brett not try on the suit when he got it back? Like, did he really wait to try it on for the first time on his wedding day? The second thing I want to say about this is just my opinion. So yes, I get it. You want to look your best on your wedding day, but when it comes to men's pants, a lot of suits, like just the way they're made, is very old school. And these pants specifically, like where the crotch is, it's very flat and also it's very long. You can kind of just tell like the pants he got were kind of more like old school, like an old way of getting pants. Wait, that's probably not even the right way to say it. It's not that it's old school, but like they try to make suits that can kind of fit everyone. And most Americans are not fit. So this style of pant kind of looks good on everyone, especially like bigger people. Whereas skinnier people, you can wear a more fitted pant. But these suit places usually don't make fitted pants like that because it's only going to look good on a certain amount of people. Because if you're kind of big, that style won't look good. But anyways, this is my opinion. When Brett first tried on the pants, I don't think it looked that bad. As long as he wore a belt, it probably would have been fine. And then you do take a lot of photos and videos, but from far away, it would have been fine. And then close up, you probably wouldn't have been able to tell that they were like oversized. This is just my opinion. If he didn't get his pants tailored, I do think it would have been okay. Cause like if you've ever looked at wedding photos, the focus to me is more on the woman and like the florals and the overall aesthetic. Unless you're super nitpicky about fashion, you're really not looking at the men's clothing that much. And not only that, Brett and Tiffany's color scheme at their wedding was disgusting. Like, I did not like their color scheme at all. So first of all, Brett wore a white sport coat, and then underneath his vest was like a beige or a tan, I think, and then he wore it with a gold tie. I thought this was so ugly. And this is just a personal opinion. I don't like when guys wear white to their weddings, especially if the woman is also wearing white. Like, I don't know if I've seen a wedding where the woman is not wearing white, but beyond the point, I don't like how Brett and Tiffany are wearing white. Personally, I like contrast. Like, I think the woman should be in white and the man should be in like something else, because I think the contrast just looks good and looks better in photos. And when they both wear white, it just doesn't look good. And not only that, the color scheme of his tie and his vest, it was just a really poor choice. And then I didn't like Tiffany's dress either. In the waist, there was like this glittery belt, and then she paired it with like a tiara. It just looked way too princessy for me, and I really wish they gave her hair more volume. Like, I do think she should have gotten some bundles, but the stylist gave her this like part down the middle, and it just looked super country to me. Did anyone else think Tiffany's hair looked better when she was in the suite than when she was at the actual wedding? Let me know below in the comments. And then it gets even worse. So all the groomsmen had on these like Obama tan suits, and then the bridesmaids had on these like off black dresses. Like, I think they were supposed to be black, but it was more of like an off black color. And just in general, the whole color scheme of this wedding, I thought looked terrible. But aside from this ugly ass color scheme, the wedding was beautiful. And one last thing about Tiffany and Brett, this old truck with the mountain and the backdrop is absolutely gorgeous. This is about to be one of the most amazing wedding photos that Tiffany and Brett have. And finally, we have Zack and Bliss. And sidebar, I think every wedding in the suite, they got a charcuterie board. And y'all, these are some of the prettiest charcuterie boards I've possibly ever seen in my life. Anyways, so Zack is in his suite preparing for the wedding, talking to a few bros. And I don't know who these people are. When Zack was talking to them, he didn't seem like he knew them either. It just felt like extras Netflix put in place just to give Zack someone to talk to. And when it comes to their wedding, I really don't have much to say, but I do want to point out a couple things. First, I did not like Bliss's dress. Bliss's dress was just like too whimsical, and in my opinion, it was a little too see-through. And her dress just looked like something you would see on like Zelda or Final Fantasy. I just really didn't like it. But in her defense, I did like her hair. I liked the train of the dress. The train was really pretty. And the veil that came out of her hair, it was very subtle, but it worked very well with the dress and it looked amazing on her. And then when they get to the altar, Zack gave Bliss some beautiful words. After Zack chose Irina and not her, but Zack decided to get back with Bliss, I think he really needed a moment to show Bliss that she was the one. And I do think he did it in this moment with these words at the altar. Like, I was about to cry listening to his words. And Zack and Bliss end up getting married, and I just know Irina is somewhere fuming. And I said this earlier in the video, when it comes to Zack and Bliss and Tiffany and Brett, I do think both of those couples are gonna go all the way. Next, if you made it this far in the video, please go ahead and pound that like button for the YouTube algorithm.